neocon warhawk Lindsey Graham went on Fox and Friends. Is it Fox and Friends, or I think it's some other shitty show on Fox? I don't. It's not Fox and Friends. Is it? Oh, it's Outnumbered, I think the show is. And he spoke about the Iran deal. Trump, of course, wants to pull out of the deal, and Lindsey Graham agrees with that. He's always agreed with that. But take a look at what he says here in response to Kennedy.
I'm more optimistic now than I've been that maybe we'd have a unified American position. If the Democrats will follow his lead and say the current deal is bad because the sunset clause is bad, that we should be able to inspect anywhere in Iran, including their military bases, then we'll have a united American front that will make the Europeans try harder to get a better deal. I would be willing to write a letter to the president, if Chris will write it with me, and Pompeo saying, extend the negotiations for 90 days past May 12th and see if the Europeans can get the deal that all of us say is better.
Wow.
I mean, I don't see it.
Just made news.
Yeah, I
Can I come back? Can I come back?
don't see why you couldn't do that, but I think Chris Coons is also very smart because the arbitrary resistance of the president doesn't really get us anywhere. These are critical issues in Iran and North Korea. We can't just have a hawkish, kill-em-all approach. There has to be something more nuanced, diplomatic, tough when it needs to be, but it can also be unified. You're absolutely right. There needs to be a unified American.
Don't underrate killing them all.
The interest
that gets everybody's attention.
I don't know.
James Mattis,
I can't go there with you.
Mattis says that all the time.
But you're dead right.
Don't underrate killing them all. And then he said something like, that'll get their attention. And then somebody else says, yeah, General Mattis says that too all the time. Don't underrate killing them all. Imagine for a second one of our enemies said that casually on one of the, say, their state TV network. That would be the biggest news ever. We would say whatever regime made those comments, they're ripe for regime change. And in fact, we need to go in there and do it ASAP because they've showed they're a clear and imminent danger to our very existence. Don't underrate killing them all. Who says that? Who the fuck says that? I'll tell you, somebody who has no regard for human life whatsoever. And the ironic thing is, Lindsey Graham and a lot of these Republicans, they say they're pro-life. They say they're pro-life. Now, of course, they mean, zygotes and gametes and fucking pregestation fetuses and fetuses. That's what they mean when they say they're pro-life. But, say somebody who's on death row, are they against the death penalty? I mean, if they're pro-life, they're by definition against the death penalty, right? Nope. For the death penalty. And apparently for, casual, nonchalant calls for genocide. Hey, don't underrate it. That has to be on the table. Killing them all has to be an option that's on the table. The worst criminals in human history. This is how they think. Now, some people are saying Lindsey Graham is kidding. I don't think he's kidding. I think he genuinely doesn't care. When he says, don't underrate killing them all, I don't think he cares. I don't think he'd lose a fucking wink of sleep if we killed them all anywhere around the world. Because this is a guy who has never been a war he doesn't like. Back when he ran for president, because LOL, remember he ran for president and got like -8 votes? One of the things he said, which made news, and we fucking went on and on about, is he was doing an interview, I forget with who, I think it was CNBC or Bloomberg or something like that. And somebody, the journalist asked him, or the host asked him, hey, how do we get out of Iraq exactly? And he said, you don't get out. You don't get out. What does that mean? He's like, yeah, permanent illegal occupation, wherever the fuck I want to illegally occupy. And that's the end of the conversation. So international law, international law, don't care about it. Don't care about the Geneva Conventions. Don't care about the Nuremberg Tribunal. Don't care about the International Criminal Court. I don't care about any of this. And we get to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and you get to accept it, and that's the way that this works. And isn't it, it's always hilarious to see the hypocrisy and the double standard baked into the cake when idiots like Lindsey Graham talk about the issue of nukes, for example, like he's discussing here in the case of Iran, where to him it's just like a duh. Not only do we get to have nuclear weapons, we get to be the only nation that ever used nuclear weapons and killed hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians in the blink of an eye, and then also sanctimoniously lecture the rest of the world about you can't have these because it's too dangerous. You're too dangerous with them. Us, on the other hand, we're reasonable by definition, so we get to have our weapons, and you get to shut the fuck up. So what he's saying is the way the Iran deal is structured right now is bad and wrong. Now, why? Because, we're not allowed to go anywhere we want in the country at any time we want to do inspections anywhere. So the way the deal works is the IAEA is allowed to go in and regulate their nuclear program to make sure that they can only enrich for power for their power grid and for research, scientific research. And in return for that, all the U.S. has to do is not sanction Iran and give them their own money back, which we stole from them. Now, we've already violated the deal because we put sanctions on them when that was one of the main fucking things that we're not allowed to do under the deal. So we violate the deal, and then oftentimes they violate it in return and do like a missile test or some shit. But it's not nuclear missiles. But what he's saying is, even though this deal is heavily biased in favor of the U.S., even though we got basically everything we wanted, in fact, General Mattis said, when I read over the deal 3 or 4 times, I was stunned at how good of a deal it was, in the sense that the U.S. and the West gets everything we want, and all they get is sanctions relief and their own money back. So he was amazed, but the idiots in the Trump administration are like, no, we need a better deal. We need a better deal. Do you think Donald Trump knows a single provision of that deal? There's not a snowball's chance in hell that idiot knows a single provision in the deal. And Lindsey Graham, guys like Lindsey Graham go out there, I'm Mr. Tough Guy. Yeah, let me tell you, I'm going to get an even better deal. The deal's going to be amazing. What we're going to do is we're going to be able to go anywhere we want with our military at any point in time. So if we want to go to wherever the fucking, wherever Hassan Rouhani is the president, wherever the Grand Ayatollah is, we're going to be able to do whatever we want in the country. So in other words, you sacrifice all your sovereignty, we give you nothing, and you shut the fuck up and like it. And if you're not down with that, well, then don't underrate killing all of you. I think the thing that frustrates me so much about these guys is that they, on some level, they have to know that they hold themselves to a different standard than they hold everybody else to. And that's just the textbook definition of a hypocrite. And I also think it makes them not smart, because I don't think it strikes me like Lindsey Graham is fundamentally incapable of thinking objectively about these situations. Like, again, that's the point, is a lack of objective thinking. Because if you think objectively, you go, okay, well, the way logic works, whatever applies to other people needs to apply to us. But that doesn't worry him. That doesn't cross his mind. That's just like, whatever. Hypocrisy, schmipocracy. I don't care. Nothing applies to us. We get to do whatever we want, and you get to listen. And if you don't want to do that, well, then maybe we kill all of you. So call it what it is, man. He's a fucking genocidal maniac. He's a neocon, warmonger, warhawk. He has no regard for human life whatsoever. And at the same time, he claims he's fucking pro-life. And also, these are the same characters who say we're the law and order people. Law and order? Law and order. You're casually floating the idea of killing them all. Law and order. Law and order is we're going to follow the letter of the law. Well, the law in the Iran deal is, we shouldn't violate it. You were for the new sanctions, so you violated it. You're not a law and order person. You're the opposite. You're I get to do whatever I want kind of person. They don't care, man. They don't care. No matter what, the other people are monsters. We, by definition, cannot be monsters. They're monsters. So Lindsey Graham is one of the saddest excuses, saddest examples of, a lawmaker that we have in this country. And he has no moral compass. He has no ethical code. He's just a genocidal dumbass.